Hey there folks, and welcome back to the GT7 showcase of update 1.69, where we're doing part 2 of the Engineswaps, which as the thing goes, starting from low to highest of the last 5 cars of dude. Starting from an Engineswap, coming from the Garage RCR Civic. Oh god. Starting with sadly the lowest one to me, which is the Renault Kangoo, which we are going to go to Laguna Seca custom race of 6 laps at the historic race place that I have. So yeah, we're going to go against some historic race cars, or like basically souped up muscle cars, basically big reduction of 3 or so. With the Renault Kangoo, which is technically 1 rate reduction, so technically this is like unfair of game comparison, but yeah, I just might as well just do it for the heck of it. Our choice was to do sports racing too, but I wanted to spice things up to see if a sports car could beat the historics where they stand at the end of the day, and it seems to be the case at the end of the day. Now I will say I did not save this replay, so you're not going to be able to see the times, but I'll just say this advance, it does a minute 32 at tops for the most part. Which for a sports speed car, I don't think that's not bad. I just don't think that's also great either. I think you're just probably better off with the stock motor at the end of the day. But I will say, if the stock motor can't hit the sports speed, this will be your option of hitting that sports speed. I just kind of wish there was a better choice in this, you know, because the biggest problem about this Garage RCR Civic motor that I just don't like at all is because it's high torque. This engine provides way too much torque than necessary. This car's wheel spins more than it ever would needs to be honest. So as a result, you get cars like these that suffer big time because they can't harness the same strength the Garage RCR Civic has. And the best part is they're lesser horsepower than the Civic at the end of the day. So yeah, it's horrible at the end of the day. It's not a fun case. If there's any cases where I do love the Garage RCR Civic motors is when you're able to put them in FR cars, because I'm gonna be honest, there's a case where Honda should turn around and make a FR with the Civic motor and call that the Prelude, not what they recently did with the new Prelude. Because I'll say this again, they should have made a FR, not a freaking hybrid FF that no one didn't really account for, nor even wanted, because you guys want to cheap out on the price of drivetrain at the end of the day. Because you guys didn't want to make an FR, you want to make an FF with that car. As the saying goes. But the Renault Kangoo with the Civic base K24 that comes from the Garage RCR Civic, which that is technically different, I will say, because the ones that are in the, I want to see, okay, I think it's FL, yeah, FL5 and stuff, that is like K20 or something else for motor. This is a completely different motor for this case, but if I gotta say though, this is also kind of a bad motor in this case, because in order to make an FF very efficient, like if you want an FF to have the ability to hit 200, for one thing, you need to somehow get the wheel torque out of the car at the end of the day. Which the only way I can think of is have a low torque engine than a high torque engine that this torque is too much providing on this car at the end of the day. There's just too much acceleration. I think that's what is happening. It's not because it's too much horsepower, it's there's too much acceleration being put into the car, so the car is freaking out, trying to understand how much to put down at the end of the day when it can't understand it at all. And the Kangoo is shockingly probably the worst one out of this when it comes to the 3 when I think of just swap at the end of the day. I do say we'll see because I did kind of cheese the R4 a bit because that's the one that's not in the sports setting, I would say. That one's in the cup setting, matter of fact, so we'll begin to that one very shortly here. But yeah, but against these cars, I'd say definitely not that bad overall. I will say these cars are definitely going to be faster though, because as you can see on the lap time there, a minute 31.650. Basically not bad overall, I gotta say. And the fuel burn is not bad either. It's kind of on par with these ones. I will say as the AI though, I think it'd be worse than this one, so just to say, overall. But now on to the next one, which I already kind of spoiled it already, which is the Renault R4. This gets the Civic motor, and I'm gonna be honest, why the heck did they got this motor when it comes to this car? But yeah, we're going to Eiger Nordwind, which is my cup racing settings of 8 laps around Eiger Nordwind. But I will say, as the saying goes, I am just video posting about 6 minutes of the raceway as much as I can. It can sometimes be less or be a bit more. But the Renault R4 GTL with the cup setting is a little bit interesting, I'll give it that. I still think it's not really great, but it is a better alternative to what the motor it originally has, because I will say the motor it has is not really great on the acceleration part, but I think, like I said, the Honda K motor here, this motor just has too much acceleration. It needs less acceleration, like you need to hit the fine line, so to say. And that's the problem about the Honda K motor. The Honda K motor is like a dragster motor for FFs, I gotta say, when it comes to, whenever I see this motor. If anything, what the R4 should have got was a Honda B motor from the Integra. The B18, I believe it's called, or something like that. That was a much better motor, and I think that would have been the motor that would do it to this car at the end of it. There's definitely other choices, but if I had to choose for FF motors, probably yeah, the Honda or heck, yes, Celica motor, that probably work too. Since I know Celicas can be FFs, so they haven't added the FF variant yet, which in terms of the FF variant in the future they should add is the St205, I believe it's called. So I was gonna say SS2, but I can't say that because. But basically the newest Celica of that time, which is like 2002 or so in terms of year. That'd probably be the motor to add, to be honest. But yeah, it makes me wonder when we're gonna get that one too, the newer Celica, because that is a famous one too. In terms, that was like the last of the good-looking Celicas at the end of the day, until they botched it at the end of the day because they decided to do an FF car, and that was it. When people wanted an all-wheel drive Celica. It's almost like FF drivetrains are not popular at all. Who knew? If you're gonna make a sports car, that's the thing goes. Cause yeah, that trend saying of FS shouldn't be sports cars is as true as it is on paper. When it comes to that, and I hate to burst someone's bubble who tries to make an FF, but it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work unless you get the right motor, you get the right weight to the car. Because I will say that matters too. Because I will say I think that was the biggest problem about the Kangoo, was that it weighs a lot more compared to these two candidates here. Because yeah, there's another Renault we're going to be getting to as well. But the R4 GTL is not a bad case for this, I will say, especially in the cup setting. The cup setting, the lesser, I'll just say this, the less of miles per hour in the car I need, it's actually the better overall. Which I will say with the Honda K motor and the R4 is pretty nice. It's not crazy, not as bad as I thought at the end of it. If in terms of fuel burn though, it's actually shockingly on par with the, as you see there, with the bike motor. Because yeah, the M1 has the bike motor, or Honda bike motor, and surprisingly, it burns just as equal. So yeah, that shocks me right there. I will note what's cool about this Honda K motor. Instead of putting it in this R4, I will say the Honda Beat has an option to that too. So if you want a really good example to put the Honda K motor in, put it in the Beat. The Beat would be insane with that motor. But for this though, it's okay. It's not really crazy, as you see. In like a minute 11. But good luck catching that Volkswagen Scirocco though. That Scirocco, oh my god. I broke records with that car for some reason. I'm not even sure why or how I did it. I just know, I guess the best way I could say about the Volkswagen Scirocco, it has a tight gearbox, and as a result of having that tight gearbox, it's going to be one of the fastest competitors, period, throughout this competition, sadly. So, say, because of that. Yeah, that's the thing I kind of believe in on that. Yeah, we got Honda Beat here, speaking of, which, yeah, it always drives like crap when it comes to... If you want to know bad AI opponents, it's the Beat. The Beat's just gonna be run and gun. Because I don't know why, the AI can't just drive it very efficiently at all. They always drive at this very crappy pace. Which I don't understand. At all. Now, if the Sophie AI took a hold of it, it's probably much better. I will know. But as of where it stands though, it's just not really good, you know. Yeah. But yeah, so Renault R4, I kind of say probably in terms of rank, yeah, I didn't really rank the Kangoo. The Kangoo was kind of just a D. This is kind of just a bit more of a C. I think it's a more of a can do kind of car compared to the Kangoo. The Kangoo suffers a lot because of its low aerodynamics and its overall weight. This one doesn't weigh a whole lot, so as a result, you can utilize more of the Honda K motor as a result, and also it's in cup spec, so it's not in its worst form possible. I will note, if you probably take the Kangoo into a cup spec, it's probably much better, I have a feeling. So that's probably the other thing I could say. So the Kangoo technically is also C as well, just a lower C at the end of the day. But onto the real candidate of the show, which is the Renault Twingo. Because yeah, the Renault Twingo can have the motor, which we're going to go to Nürburgring, Nordschleife, because it's also in the sports settings too. I will note, I was going to do GTX with this, but then I noticed it was doing the wheel spin, so it's like, ah, damn it. Because I didn't really notice it here when I was driving it through Nordschleife, of all things. It really wasn't that there at first for me. Because I thought I was able to handle that. I was like, oh, this might be the car to do it. But no, sadly no. When you increase it to 200 miles per hour and the 200 miles per hour transmitted tryouts, it kind of just starts wheel spin like no tomorrow. Which, anytime I see that wheel spin, that's like instantly bad. It's just wheel spin bad for FF. For FR, it's fine because you can have control with that. FFs, you can't. As much as you would try to gentle your throttle, it will still just happen. And that's what I hate about FFs having high power engines at the end of the day, because they just can't control it. Well, they can technically control it, but it's like they just become dragsters at that point, which I've seen a fair cases of Civic dragsters, so you know. It's safe to say where it goes, as the saying goes. But yeah, as the saying goes, I just kind of wish something better than this for the motor example. Like maybe the FTL motor or something, you know? I would say, oh, maybe the Silvia motor perhaps for FFs. That might be a good example too. Come think of it. That might or might not. I don't know. It really depends on that part. But yeah, just doing at least one lap of 2 laps in case you're wondering of Nordschleife. So it's like, because I just want to see how fast it goes around about here, just on the first lap. This first lap is where it matters. Second lap is like, oh well, I just gotta pass these 2 and it's basically done. Because yeah, they did 2 laps on the Nordschleife, which if you don't know, that's basically 6 minutes each time. And a lot worse for this car's case, because these take around, I think, 7 minutes actually. Come to think of it. But yeah, the Twingo with the Honda K motor, technically not bad. I do think it's a bit better than the other two, just a tad. And you know, that's probably just due to the fact it's soft shape at the end, because I will say that's very aerodynamic plus when you have a soft shape like that for your car. Considering the Toyota Super Bear, I mean, look at that, that's a soft shape. More of a streamlined shape going on there. Not as robust or not as square, not as angular, or not as muscle. It's just straight up the smooth. And that's kind of what you want in Aerodynamics. The other case of Aerodynamics is you want it as a teardrop shape in the rear. So technically hatches get more aerodynamic, but the problem is when you do that teardrop shape, you lose what's the best way to say it? You technically lose performance because you also make it way heavier as a result. So yeah, there is a goods and bads of following Aerodynamics fully. You want to follow it mostly. You don't want to follow it all the way. Because otherwise you get cars that don't really hit the fundamentals of competition at the end of the day. My only case would be, in order to hit that competition, would have a wagon at that point. And I have seen my cases of wagons being very good too, so I kind of wonder, considering BMW just turned around and turned, well, what was a April Fool's, by the way, of an M3 wagon or something like that. They basically turned that wagon, it's either M3 or M5 wagon or something like that. But they basically took that GT3 motor of another BMW and put it into that, and made that wagon a GT3 race car, which, not gonna lie, very incredible when you look at it and stuff. It looks amazing and stuff. Cause yeah, they just recently, within this span of days and weeks here, they did add Nürburgring endurance because Max Verstappen and, you know, other famous reasons. The Rogia Dacia or whatever it's called, Dacia, the Rogia Dacia or Dacia. Not sure if I'm saying that right. It's basically like one of the slowest cars in that competition. Was in there and people were cheering it on, even though it's slow as crap. It's literally cup speed kind of cars, but it did the works at the end of the day. It did the thing. By just being there. That's the thing, just. Sometimes even the slowest car is still one of the most famous cars. Let's see how it goes. You don't have to be fast to be famous, as the thing goes. So I mean, look at the Toyota GT1. It never won the Le Mans, but it was considered one of the best cars in terms of fame. Looks. Sometimes the looks can be good enough, so sad. There's that REM and me, speaking of White Rabbit. So yeah, there's only like two guys I need to get to, which is the Hurricane, which is getting held back hardcore by the SU7 Ultra here. But yeah, speaking of BS about this event, as usual. Every time I look at that car and in this event, it is so BS because this car should not be in this event at all, because first off, he's on the wrong pair of tires. He should be on comfort softs at best to even get the low PP, by the way. Secondly, that car is more of a hypercar than a freaking, well, or should be in the hypercar event, not here, so to say. And so is technically the Hurricane too. But it is what it is, you know. Then again, I am currently making in terms of tryouts in the future here, in terms of weighing as of right now, because usually what I do is I make the land, then I make the base. For now, I'm making the land, which in this case is 217 miles per hour of high-end cars. That means like super sports cars or high-end machine specs, like the Shelby GT350R, I can think of as one case, or the Hellcats, for example. Which, yeah, that means that I kind of hope like one day we get the 302 Dodge Challenger. That'll be a nice circuit version of the Challenger in the future. That'd be a cool case, but I'd be surprised though. I'd just be surprised. The person can only dream. But yeah, 7 minutes and 30 though, around with the Twingo, which yeah, like I said, it's not bad. It's just it's a FF with a Honda K motor. What do you expect? There's like so many FFs at this point. I could literally do a full playlist of K motors, which I might just do at one point. I might just do it. But anyways, on to finally a new engine swap, which is the engine swap coming from the Volkswagen GTI VGT Grade 3. Starting with the first car with this motor, which is the Megane RS Trophy, which we are going to go to Trail Mountain in a custom race of 6 laps? I think it's 6 laps there. Hopefully that's 6 laps. Oh no, it's 5 laps. I think I got that wrong there. I come to realize. Oh well. But anyways, it is basically versus the GTX racers, because yeah, I decided to make this into a GTX racer, so say. I will say this is gonna be a funny case though, because this is like the proto of GTX. I will say I got GTX already done in terms of cars and stuff, so you're gonna be seeing cars here that are not in this event, let's say. Or cars that are out of tune, like example that Focus RS in the front. That Focus RS is now retuned and stuff, so he will not be in the front like that anymore. Let's say. He's pretty good though. Pretty good. But not anymore. This thing goes. But the Megane with the Volkswagen GTI Grade 3 is not bad, and it's an FF that hits 200 miles per hour, which normally as I just crapped on the hatchbacks beforehand, that's because they are in a design where they can't really handle that torque. On this other case, I'm not sure what to really say besides saying this technically can, but you will still see some wheel spin every now and then. But it's not as crazy as the other choices I've seen thus far. And I think that's because, unlike the other hatchbacks, where they're all teardrop shape, this is more of a lounge shape. It looks like a Lossinger kind of shape, you know? And as a result, this car doesn't deal as bad as wheel spin as the other contenders do. There's another car too that also has the same case, and it can also have this motor as well, which is the Renault not S-Space, but the Renault Aventime. The Aventime can have this motor as well, because it's also an FF as well. And that is a coupe minivan, but I did notice something very special about that coupe minivan is that it doesn't really suffer as bad as wheel spin as this one, nor does it suffer to the next one, which is the actual Volkswagen. I'll just give you a hint from there. But basically, it's just me versus the Focus RS, which the Focus RS is out of tune, I will say. It's a lot higher than it should be. But to say, though, it's in like a minute 59, which is not bad, not the craziest, though. But it's in up there in numbers with the other contenders, I would say. A minute 57 is usually a good spot, I would say, in terms of time. And as an FF, I'd be surprised it kind of hits that, but it hits like a good amount. So I would kind of consider this a bit of a B, because I consider this a bit of a B because it's a race car motor. Race car motors get that fuel saving bonus side, as always. Never understand why they get it, they just do. But yeah, as the thing goes throughout all this, basically that's basically the engine swaps. But yeah, if I gotta say, the first 5 were just technically better, but they're also one of the most expensive ones, considering $10 million and such. But overall, this is the engine swaps in general when it comes to the update 1.69 in general. Which I do apologize for this long wait. I just had, a mental frustration over, well, basically Sony in a nutshell as of recent, with all the new gaming terrible news and stuff. I mean, it's bad enough that even the fanboys were fighting Sony at one point because Sony decided to up the price on the fucking PlayStation Plus. I mean, it was just $1, but the thing is, they're just gonna keep doing it, and that's gonna be the issue. And they've been constantly doing it. They up the price on the console, they up the price on the pass. It's like, good God, like, come on, like, you should be as competitive as Steam, and you're not. Steam is providing like the best service you could ever be offering stuff, and you get this sad excuse instead. But yeah, it just tells me that, yeah, this is probably going to be my last console when it comes to consoles. If companies like this are going to be bigotry, stupid bastards that cannot understand the rules of having a fair consumer of profits, I don't want to be a part of this, as the saying goes. I'll just move away. And especially with that identification crap, which is already getting hammered already. But that probably ain't gonna stop Sony from trying to fucking doing it, though. But so far, in terms of where they have put it at, they put it at UK, and it sounds like some people have gotten hacked already as a result. Because they've never been really good at security defense of stuff, of sorts and stuff. So just as a result, you just hear stories like, oh, this guy just got hacked, and he had no way of getting hacked, but he somehow just got hacked anyway, and that is because he probably gave his facial ID to Sony, or whatever ID means that the hacker could turn around and utilize back without knowing. Or you technically do know, but the thing is, you can't stop it. They have to stop it. It's the problem. So if anything, the person should turn around and then sue Sony for that. I'm sorry. Like, no matter what, that's technically the company's fault for doing this uphold of a service as a return. If you're gonna be to uphold services, you're gonna get bitten back. That's like they're getting sued back for the whole terrorist stuff. Because yeah, that was bullshit. As it goes. Yeah, enough talk about world events and shit. On to the last contender, that is the Volkswagen Scirocco R with the VGT motor, which we are going to go to Grand Valley Highway 1, big main track, with GTX technically again, except just at Grand Valley. But yeah, overall, this is basically the Engineswaps in general, and yeah, again, sorry it took this long. I'm just trying to get my brain back together and stuff. I will know it's still going to be kind of slow. I'm probably going to be doing like 2 uploads per week anymore because I got shit to do, basically. I got a lot of summer things to do, to say, because as the saying goes, you usually have to change around the house a bit to uphold the next season upon other season and stuff. And I've been just lately grabbing the AC and helping my family put them in the windows at the end of the day and stuff. You know, workouts, chores, or workhorse chores, you know. So just been basically dealing with that because I just can't really think creativity right now because Sony just straight up just kind of killed it for me. Of having any, I don't know, it's like in one case it just feels like a fanboy rant at the end of the day, than more of a my rant. And it just feels weird. It feels weird to think how much of a peasant you could be at the end of the day when you realize the truth. That thing goes. But yep. So yeah, the Scirocco R I consider it easily the best one because it doesn't wheel spin as bad as the Megane RS at the end of the day. So as a result, I consider the Scirocco a bit better as a result of this, in this case. Which, I mean, not surprised with the Volkswagen with the Volkswagen motor. However, then I gotta think of the last part where the LFA was much better than the 650S McLaren in the McLaren F1 GTR engine swap of all things. But yeah, hitting a minute 56 here on this track, and I'd say that's pretty good overall compared to the other contenders here, which I need to see the other times too, because I didn't really bother looking at the other times. When we ever switched to them, so to say. Yeah, frame rate there. Yeah, there's still some frame rate our frame rate shudders every now and then. Like if you hit like a point of section, it will just start slowing down, which that's bad. I was like, got the Subaru Impreza rail car. With the beautiful as always. Yeah, hit a minute 57, so I think it's safe to say a minute 56 is pretty good here overall. Yeah, the Scirocco R with the Volkswagen Pt.2, I just think it's maybe a tad bit better than the Megane R. It could be even, but I'm still going to consider it as a B as well because it's an FF, but at least you get a race car motor, so you can hang with the racer boys at the end of the day with this motor as an alt choice, which is not a bad choice to be honest. So, and considering, as the saying goes, GT3s they can have up to 800 horsepower, and they usually limit locked to 800 horsepower. And I know this because every GT3 motor I've tried, because just to say, fun fact, GT3s were going to be part of this GTX series here, but I axed them out because they were just too fast. Too fast, too good, as the saying goes. I will note, like, maybe sometime down the line when I get the GTX all recording stuff, which by that I mean as in the grade rallies and the grade 4s, then I'll do the GT3s in the future. But yeah, that basically kind of just wraps that for in terms of Engineswaps showcase here. Is this probably going to be my last time doing Engineswaps? I'm going to be honest, I kind of feel like a yes, but you know, if they're not as bad as this one, then I'll keep on doing it. But if from what I hear that if more Engineswaps end up being like $10 million like that, or worst case scenario that Gran Turismo suddenly starts making the auction prices more expensive in the future, like increasing from the $20 million to the $30 million I keep hearing about, then no, as the thing goes. They can go kiss the pipe at that rate. And then I just have like really no respect of Gran Turismo, and I might just axe the whole project entirely because of this shit. But until then, people, I'll see you guys all next time. I hope you enjoyed what you watched here, and besides my rant and tangent and crap. So until then, folks, I'll see you guys all next time. You guys take care and ciao. Thanks for watching, and see you then.